September 19th, 2023, OpTic Gaming released a new podcast called The Biggest Breakup in Esports History, where one of the greatest and most winning rosters of all time in competitive Call of Duty joined up to talk about their success and to reminisce on the past. It was during this podcast that a new beef would begin when Crimsix called out Nadeshot for essentially not trying during Advanced Warfare Champs, ultimately leading to them losing.
Like, this was why I think I played like dog. Because we just won 4 events in a row, right? And then like travel day, and he's like, yeah, if we win, I'm gonna donate a charity tax write-off.
I know what you're like saying. Like
Yeah.
you like needed to win it, and he like
Wanted to
said
win it?
that, and it just showed you that like you needed it. He just wanted
more
it.
about, yeah, exactly.
The following day, Nadeshot responded to Crimsix on Twitter, very disappointed by what he heard on the podcast, and denying Crimsix's statements by saying this. AI is very scary, by the way.
Just to be clear, that OpTic Dynasty podcast clip where Crimsix just made up an imaginary story out of thin air about my prize earnings and tax write-offs is truly insane. Trust me, as much as I would love to sound charitable and financially savvy, me at 22 years old was far from it. Normally, I wouldn't comment on something like this, but it's bizarre to hear such an unnecessary lie from 8 years ago to justify his average performance.
Last weekend, Call of Duty hosted an OpTic Gaming Legacy Tournament where some of our favorite old Call of Duty pros teamed up together once more to play Black Ops 2 against each other. And with this whole situation brewing, Nadeshot decided to withdraw from the tournament because he felt uncomfortable with the entire situation and seemed very disappointed at this whole entire beef. It seemed like this came out of nowhere, but in order to truly understand how this whole beef started, we're gonna have to take a blast to the past. Nadeshot is one of the most influential people in Call of Duty esports. He started competing in Call of Duty before Call of Duty or video games were highly regarded, yet he still had a love for the game and he was really good at it, so he just continued playing. As a teenager, Nadeshot started working at McDonald's, but his passion really lied in competitive gaming. A name that's probably familiar to a lot of people, OpTic Hex, the founder of OpTic Gaming.
Hey Hex, can you say what's up for the video? What's up?
Hello, video. What's going on? Oh, yeah. Subscribe.
Hey, you heard it from the man himself. It's all Nadeshot's talent and his great personality on camera and wanted to start a business around Call of Duty and content creation, and he ended up linking with Nadeshot and signing him to his team. Nadeshot is definitely a pioneer of Call of Duty esports, but he was a really good leader, and his personality was not only great for a competitive Call of Duty team, but also for content creation. He started putting Call of Duty on the map and showed people that you could not only compete in Call of Duty, but you could also be an entertainer around it as well. While still working at McDonald's in 2011, Nadeshot's life would change forever. Activision hosted the Call of Duty XP 2011 tournament, which was one of the first big LAN events from Call of Duty, where some of the best players from around the world came together to compete against each other in Modern Warfare 3. And guess who was there? None other than my boy Nadeshot. And on top of that, his life would change forever because he ended up winning this event and winning $400,000, and just showed him that he could continue the path that he was on and be successful at it.
I'm going to tell your story. You're in college, but you made it very public that you worked at McDonald's. Yeah. For a little while, Nadeshot. You just made $100,000. How does that feel?
I don't want to work at McDonald's anymore.
He really started streaming and creating content heavily in Black Ops 2 and was given a permanent role on OpTic Gaming. At this point, his YouTube channel just started to skyrocket because people seen that he wasn't just a good competitor, he was also a great entertainer, and other companies began to notice that. Because in 2013, he signed a deal with Red Bull, and this showed people that esports was a real viable career. He was definitely the face of Call of Duty, and Call of Duty esports would continue to grow from this point forward. In 2014, Nadeshot would find more success by winning an X Games gold medal during Call of Duty Ghosts, and his YouTube channel at this time got to more than 1 million subscribers. Like I said, he was never the best player on the roster, and he often took blame from the community when OpTic fell short at tournaments. Nadeshot Nadeshot usually took an OBJ role in game and trying to get the win at all costs, while his other teammates were more focused on slaying. But that's not to say that Nadeshot wasn't a good player, because he actually was pretty good. Nadeshot would end up teaming with Crimsix during Advanced Warfare, and they would find some more success winning 3 events in a row. However, in March 2015, during the biggest Call of Duty event of the year, OpTic Gaming was the favorites to win the tournament. They were nasty. They were winning every event before this with the team of Nadeshot, Crimsix, Scump, and Formal. However, they would have a disappointing 7th place finish, and this is where the team was at a crossroads. The community made it a trend to lash out on Nadeshot with the hashtag #DropNadeshot. I mean, everybody was on this man, and it seemed like the rest of the OpTic squad also wanted Nadeshot off the team, but we'll get back to that in just a second, because we're gonna have to look back in the past once again and see where Nadeshot and Crimsix stories merge. Crimsix is arguably one of the greatest Call of Duty players of all time, and definitely the most winningest player of all time. He has 38 tournament wins with over $1 million in prize money, which is just unheard of in the Call of Duty scene. Crimsix started competing in 2009 during Call of Duty 4, but after not placing well, he decided to take his talents to Halo, and he even played against people like Formal, who he would team with later, and Ninja.
Well, I want to ask, what about it works for you?
What?
However, even though he switched to Halo, he didn't get the success that he wanted, and he decided to compete in Call of Duty once again. During Black Ops 2, Aches, who was actually one of Nadeshot's arch nemesis, hit up Crimsix because he seen the talent of Crimsix from playing Halo and COD 4, and he wanted to team with him, and they ended up playing together on Complexity. UMG Chicago would be one of their first big events, and they would make it all the way to the final round, where they actually played against OpTic Gaming in the grand finals. But OpTic Gaming proved to be too strong for Complexity and ended up beating them in a grand final when this infamous clip happened. But this was Crimsix's first big event, and I think making it to the grand finals probably proved to him that he was one of the top players. He was part of one of the top teams, and this would come to fruition after Crimsix won his first big event, MLG Anaheim, just a few months later, and his winning career officially began. Fast forwarding to Call of Duty Ghosts, Crimsix would end up winning COD Champs, the biggest event of the year on Complexity, and the whole community took notice that he was starting to become one of the best and most dominant players in the game, and he would continue to prove that as the years went on. But after this tournament, his Complexity roster slowly started to fade and the team started breaking down. It was at this point in 2015 where Crimsix and Nadeshot stories started to merge. OpTic Gaming was looking for 2 people to play alongside Scump and Nadeshot, and what better players to join them than Crimsix and Formal. And on January 4th, they would find some success by winning UMG Orlando on January 4th, 2015, and then going on to win the Season 1 Finals in February 2015, and the Call of Duty NA Regional Finals in March 2015. Now, this is where we go back to the beginning, where Crimsix was saying that Nadeshot told him he was going to use the tournament winnings as a tax write-off, pretty much saying like, hey bro, I'm not really going to try. So it's really, this tournament's not really a big deal to me. That's what Crimsix was thinking Nadeshot said to him. Obviously, OpTic didn't have the best performance at COD Champs 2015, but it was clear that the team didn't want Nadeshot on the roster anymore, but it wasn't like Nadeshot got dropped.
Basically, I am going to be taking a break from competitive Call of Duty, a leave of absence, if you will.
He actually removed himself from the team, and they actually said this during the recent podcast. When Nadeshot left the team and retired from competitive Call of Duty, OpTic Gaming picked up Karma, who was waiting for his starting spot on the roster, and this is what became known as the OpTic Dynasty. This team was the most dominant team in Call of Duty history, and they ended up winning 18 tournaments together. I mean, off the rip, they were extremely dominant. Regardless, OpTic ended up breaking the champs curse with the Dynasty roster in Infinite Warfare. The Dynasty ended up winning 18 tournaments together, which is almost unheard of in competitive Call of Duty. And after this whole beef between Crimsix and Nadeshot even commented on dealing with the fact that once he was removed, OpTic Gaming became one of the best rosters.
Yeah, I've always felt like a little self-conscious about the fact that they won exponentially more without me after the fact. And I'm totally okay with not being a part of it. But nobody else has to sit and stand in my shoes. You know what I mean? I was always playing to win. There's no other way around. I've always been sort of on the bench when it comes to the conversation about winning. Like, to me, winning 3 events in a row was the biggest accomplishment that I was ever a part of in my competitive career. And I did that with Crimsix, Formal, and Scum.
Regardless, his impact on not only OpTic Gaming, but Call of Duty esports undoubtedly changed the entire esports scene. And Nadeshot was truly a pioneer of Call of Duty esports and really made it what it is today. It seems like the Nadeshot and Crimsix beef has been squashed. I think Crimsix apologized to Nadeshot, but he also said that he wasn't lying. But Nadeshot denies the rumors. In my opinion, during this podcast, this seemed like a really random jab at Nadeshot. Like, it seemed like it really came out of nowhere. Either way, blaming Nadeshot for his own poor performance really doesn't make that much sense. I don't think that Nadeshot would have said this, but at the same time, I wasn't there, so I don't know. Only them two really know what happened. It really wouldn't make sense to say that, because if anything, Nadeshot would want to prove everyone wrong, and this tournament would have been the perfect opportunity to prove that he wasn't a loose end for the team. But like I said, the only two that really know what would have happened is Nadeshot and Crimsix, but it seems like they have made amends. I'm interested to see where their future relationship goes, but regardless, both have now retired and have found success in their own avenues after competitive Call of Duty. It is no doubt that they had some of the most influential, dominant careers in Call of Duty esports. They have cemented their name in COD history. After competitive Call of Duty, Nadeshot still wanted to be a part of esports and ended up building one of the biggest esports companies, which I'm sure you're familiar of, and that is 100 Thieves. And his future is looking brighter than ever. Crimsix is also scratching that competitive itch. On February 7th, 2023, he announced that he would be a sim racer for FaZe Clan, as he loves driving cars, and he seems to be getting pretty good at it, so it's cool to see that he's still competing. But it's cool to see how their stories ended up merging throughout Call of Duty history, and I'm excited for both of them and finding success in their own avenues, still being a part of esports even after Call of Duty. So let me know what you think about this entire beef between Nadeshot and Crimsix. Do you think Nadeshot actually said this to Crimsix? I'm interested to hear you guys' thoughts in the comment section below. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, peace.